Welcome to the FF Forge. My name is Steve, and today we will be wrapping up going through all of the rankings with the wide receiver rankings. I know these have not been traditional rankings videos, and I apologize if this is the first one you're walking across, or if you've tried watching another or something and you didn't care for that format. I will probably, almost certainly, be doing a different format and coming out with my initial running back and wide receiver rankings. So I can get those out earlier in the week, and also so that it's more of what I assume people want, what most people are expecting at the very least when they open up the rankings video. If you do like this format, or if you like certain things that I do within it, I do try to point out to some extent like sleepers and busts in them, and just some extraneous talk, or just comparing the projections and having these projections on here. If those are things that you like, let me know. Going a different route would be helpful for me, and I think what you would like to see on your end. But I can make this work if that's what you want on your end. So let me know. It's a long enough intro, so you can go to the quarterback intro to find out all you need to know about these charts. It's mostly self-explanatory. Over here, this is heat gauge, red good, blue bad, basically saying that matchup, there's a higher chance that somebody could have a good game versus a bad game. I have Michael Pittman quite a bit higher here than the consensus, and I'm sure that largely has to do with the fact that we don't know if Michael Pittman will play. So this is assuming Michael Pittman is playing with these statistics. Sorry, my back's getting a little sore. And Christian Kirk here, this was an easy one for me to say. I've been alluding to it and thinking this all week, that he is a bust candidate for me this week. Going against the Chargers, they're pretty darn good against the slot receivers. Saw what they did to Juju last week. Not that that necessarily means anything, but yeah, I'm concerned about Christian Kirk this week. I'll have him ranked pretty highly, but with a hefty concern about him. And as far as Curtis Samuel goes, getting this high on the projections, I don't know. But last week I said we wanted to see it one more time, and we've seen it one more time. So he is definitely in that flex conversation, and it appears maybe a safe one at that, especially probably this week against Philadelphia. There's going to be a good amount of throwing going on. And then right behind him, Drake London is 12th in my projections, 25th in the consensus rankings, and I think I'll be closer to my projection here than that 25. Atlanta might be able to eat against Seattle. Wouldn't be super surprising. Drake London is just getting better every game here. A big discrepancy here between Jacoby Myers and the projections. Once again, I don't love the projection on that one. And don't love the projection here with Amari Cooper, but he's probably, I'd say he's closer to 24 than he is 32. We'll just say it like that. I think he is, he's an option. Because of week one, he's not a must start. Because of that quarterback, he's not must start. But if he has that kind of upside, he is the only target there. That's kind of why we had him ranked where we did preseason. You don't want to miss out on that kind of game. And then Jahan Dotson, I don't know why there's so much just a lack of respect here in a game where we're expecting some decent amount of passing to happen. I'm probably going to have him ranked higher than 38. Another guy that I think the projection is closer, even though it's too high, to where I think I will have him ranked. Robbie Anderson, here's the thing. Immediate gut check is, oh my God, this is way off. I went through entering in all the projections, and this is why I love doing that. I get to see some of these numbers in week in and week out too. It can help me to find guys who are going, down or trending up. Now, if we believed that DJ Moore was worthy of getting being a wide receiver 1, well, Robbie Anderson has all of the numbers on his side so far. That should change. Expect that to change. But as of right now, this is why the projections have him this high. Robbie Anderson's getting the targets. He's got the production on his side. All of the above. So he probably deserves more respect than the 52nd rank here. We just don't want to believe it. But if we're going to believe in Curtis Samuel, I don't see why we don't believe in Robbie Anderson. Then Noah Brown here is somebody who I kept meaning to. I don't think I ended up getting him on my wide receivers rankings, and all week I had intended to put him on there and point him out as a sleeper. I did point him out 2 weeks ago as a sleeper. Another guy, I don't think he's getting the respect that he should just because of his name, lack of name. And part of this also might be that Michael Gallup is expected to come back this week. But we do know that we are not expecting a full workload from Michael Gallup. And we also know that Michael Gallup and Noah Brown don't play the same position. I'll tell you, Noah Brown is a guy that last season was I was tracking. He was looking more and more like a potential guy to play, as there were some injuries in Dallas last season to that wide receiver core that gave him an opportunity, and his numbers looked pretty good. His advanced statistics. And then Nelson Aguilar, another guy I don't love being up this high, and I do believe, actually, going back to the other, Jacoby Myers I think might have an injury designation. Just a heads up on that. Then we have Garrett Wilson here going up against Cincinnati. I think he's closer to a flex option than 35 by the consensus would suggest. 24 would suggest he's an automatic start, essentially. I don't know that he's quite an automatic start either. Probably going to be a few guys that'll slip up, pushing him back a little ways for me. Devin Duvernay, another guy, he had a concussion, I think towards the end of last week or third quarter or something. Don't understand what in the projections got him quite this high in the rankings. 65's too low, 25's too high. He is a guy who, in games where we're expecting Baltimore to throw a lot, I like. That's not really this game, though. And when I say I like, I mean I like as a flex, in the discussion amongst other into the discussion guys. Sterling Shepard also feels a little bit high to me. Courtland Sutton, obviously, he's a little low here compared to where he should be, especially, this is one of those cases where I'll say, especially if Judy's out. Sometimes I don't like when one wide receiver goes out because it just makes the offense less dynamic in all ways. But that only really increases the amount of targets to Courtland Sutton in this situation, and this team really can't get worse. 12 feels a little high. Tyler Lockett being higher than DK Metcalf, I don't know. Wait, how much? Where do they have DK? Consensus has it, right? So yeah, I would go with the consensus on his. I would still have DK higher than Tyler Lockett. But, going up against Atlanta this week, not the best defense there. Definitely in the flex conversation. Exactly how high on that list, I'm not too sure. I'll have to see some of those names. I would say I will probably hold this little blue mark against him when comparing players. So from Mike Williams on down to Brandon Cooks here, all of these guys should probably be higher than where the projections put them on this list. So that's just a blanket statement in general for those guys. And then Corey Davis down here, I think I wanted to just point out that this is probably not giving enough respect in a matchup where there might be quite a bit of throwing again for the Jets. A lot of opportunity, so I like him as a flex option. Jarvis Landry here. It's a bit surprising to me to see Allen Lazard this high on the list. I'm not too sure what the projections saw that they liked here so much. But, good sign if you're an Allen Lazard owner, I suppose, but I don't think that you're going to feel comfortable playing him. Richie James is a guy that I want to point out there for the New York Jets. I mean, he's kind of that guy for the Giants right now. This 82 is no respect. It's just another Noah Brown kind of name where rankers just don't want to trust that. But man, the projections have both a much higher, and those projections on those two have proper information. So, yeah, a little off their rankers. Then CeeDee Lamb, obviously another guy. Oh, he'll go higher. The production's just not been there yet. Ashton Dulin, totally dependent upon Michael Pittman, he's really the only guy you want in that passing attack. But Ashton Dulin is another guy that I was tracking along with Noah Brown last season. And if you caught it last week, my apologies about Michael Strachan bringing that name up. For some reason, despite my knowledge of Ashton Dulin beyond probably 99% of people's knowledge of Ashton Dulin, I totally forgot about him and was locked in on Michael Strachan. And I realized it later on after that video, and I decided to stick with my call. So I apologize. It was reckless of me not to go and amend that. I don't know if you would have seen it in the comments or not, but learned a lesson there. Don't just stick with my call. Amend it if I realize I made a boo-boo. Then T. Higgins down here, here's just an example of he missed some time in the game, so his opportunity share, snap share are quite a bit lower than they should be, and that's where I can go in and fix that. But in the rankings, I can just throw them up higher. And this is definitely a game where you're going to want to play T. Higgins without a question. Then Allen Robinson, DK Metcalf, Adam Thielen. See, Allen Robinson, like in this game, I would put a slight sleeper tag on him. Definitely may not work out. I don't know about him being ranked at 28th there, but this may be a good matchup for him because Arizona has a reputation of shutting down the number one wide receiver of other teams. Cooper Kupp's unshutdownable, but they may just make it tough enough that Stafford has to feed the ball elsewhere. I hate that Seattle's playing against Atlanta this week because it just feels so nice, but I think I would rather play Allen Robinson than DK Metcalf, and in general, I think I'll have some players above some of these guys. Then Adam Thielen, this last week we'll be able to finally say, okay, these guys are for real, and okay, we're concerned enough about these names that we need to see it before we can trust them. And Adam Thielen is definitely one of those names where, sure, if you want to give him your trust, this probably isn't the worst week to do that against Detroit here. But I'm not really suggesting to give him your trust. He may just be another guy at this point. Hunter Renfrow, unfortunate. Just a heads up, he's by far not a start him and let him play kind of guy anymore. He is at this point a wide receiver 4 or 5 type dude. Juju Smith-Schuster, I would want to see if. I feel like Indianapolis might be decent against the slot and might be susceptible to the deep pass, which would mean my advice for Kansas City will end up looking similar to last week, where it's Juju has a bust tag on him and Marquez Valdes-Scantling has a sleeper tag on him. But I need to see the cornerback report on that first. So that will be represented in my rankings as I get to that, and I'll shift those guys like so based on my confidence factor in how Indianapolis, I guess, plays as a defense against wide receivers generally. Elijah Moore being at the 33rd, it feels like there's been some names here that I would definitely have above Elijah Moore at 33. So that feels a little high just based on his first 2 weeks of productivity. But this is another case where it's like a guy with no productivity. But, man, that matchup, expecting there to be a lot of passing again for the New York Jets. But there's been a lot of passing the first 2 weeks. So, Elijah Moore just might not have that connection with Joe Flacco. I would be hesitant to flex him if you could avoid it. And then Marquez Valdes-Scantling, I covered that, and Darnell Mooney all the way down here. He's getting ranked 37, so he's fallen at least by the projectors. But here, just to show you how by the rankers, I should say, in the consensus rankings, and 60 just right here, right at the bottom of the barrel. If there are any wide receivers that you would like to see the floors and these ceilings for, or these expected ranges, both, whatever the case, who I did not cover, just let me know. I have to, it's like thousands of data points that I have to enter in. So I'm trying to limit that amount this season, which stinks in some ways as far as finding sleepers and whatnot. But, you know, it is what it is. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. Thank you very much for joining me today for the rankings. All the other videos should already be out. Wide receiver, running back, quarterback, tight end. Check those out. Peace out.